Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast, and here with the one and only, the notorious Phil Music. I feel like we need like an applause. I should have hit the applause button, but it's not within my reach. Phil, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, for those who don't know you.
I'm Phil Music, and I am a newly found shed dealer. I just started officially selling sheds legally in December.
So yeah, you've been around the hauling world for quite some time, right?
Yeah. Well, it started out when I was younger with sales. It
Okay.
was always sales. I was 18 years old. I was selling $2,000 vacuum cleaners to just anybody that could make payments. And that's where my sales started. I've been in sales all my life. I started with that. I've done lawnmowers, dog houses, buildings, you name it. Then I worked my way up to shed hauling because I seen all the beautiful, pretty trucks. I wanted a nice truck. I wanted a nice trailer. I wanted to be just like the big guys.
So that's what kind of got you into it. You saw,
Yep.
well, you told me that you started out like building dog houses.
Yeah. Dog houses I started back in 2016 or 2017. And that was just from free lumber that I acquired from factories.
Pallets.
Yep. Pallets, shipping crates. And then some of the plywood that I started getting from a factory, I started making cooler stuff like furniture and whatnot. And then the same plywood, I thought, well, why not make a shed? So I measured my neighbor's shed, which is literally 100 feet away, and I kept running back to my garage all day, just measuring board by board, and I built an 8x10 shed. Sold it within 2 days. Within 2 days. It was overlapped plywood siding, and they had to paint it or stain it to keep it from looking like a pallet.
How'd you deliver it?
With a half-ton pickup and a car trailer.
Yeah, man, I did that.
16-foot car trailer.
We did one on a 10 by, let's see, it was a utility 6.5 by 12, just, tandem hitch,
Yep.
tilt bed. And it was a cook shed from back in like 1999, 2000. And we just kept like lifting the thing up until we got underneath it and strapped it down, and had a Dodge 2500. And my father-in-law bought it from my brother-in-law. He gets on it with his tractor to pull it off of the trailer. And my brother took off with the truck. Well, the tractor didn't have enough oomph. So he went straight up in the air.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've been the one and only time I ever done it. We were the do it cheaper guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I started. I mean,
Everybody starts somewhere, man.
I was doing furniture, and then all of a sudden it's, hey, let's deliver an 8x10 shed.
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly how not to do things. I
So-
had the big steel heavy fenders that we had to deal with.
Oh yeah.
So we lined the bed with pallets, put the shed on top.
So you come a long way in that time, but you end up in shed hauling full time. What kind of led you down that path? I mean, after you start moving these dog houses and this first shed.
When I started moving sheds, I started seeing more shed stuff on Facebook. I started following the shed stuff. I'm like, I can do this. So I just started pumping out more sheds. Well, then it got to the point where I needed to deliver all the time. I couldn't build them. So I had local people just helping me. Just come in, put in a few hours, let's build a building, let's go deliver it. I was delivering full time. I couldn't do it no more and watch the crew at the same time. So I had local Amish take over, and they were building my sheds, and I started getting better equipment. I was really following the shed haulers. I found the shed haulers group, and that just set it off.
Changed everything.
As soon as I started, somebody was building my sheds and I was hauling them. I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
So as a point of reference for
Now,
you,
4 years later, I'm selling them.
Yeah. So it was a resource though.
Yes.
It was a place you could go. What was some of the information that you would have found useful in going to like the Facebook group and shed hauling events and things like that?
The main thing I learned I learned it a little late, but don't go into debt. Don't spend more than you can afford until you know what you're doing. Because, I mean, I had a little truck, little trailer. I wanted big truck, big trailer. I went into debt really fast. I couldn't pull myself out. So I got that all taken care of. Everything was going great. Just don't go into debt. Debt is bad.
Yeah, I remember going to a ministry once. I don't know if you've heard of like Teen Challenge. There was a Teen Challenge in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I went and visited the pastor, and this is when it goes way back to like 1969. So like it's got 150 acres that was donated to them, but this is way back whenever Teen Challenge was getting started. And I asked the pastor there, I was like, this is a big organization. You got 150 acres. You got like 150, 200 men here going through recovery and things like that. I was like, how do you do it? And he said, when I got here, he said, it was about to go under after 50 years. It takes a significant amount of money to feed all these men and all these different things. And I was waiting for something really divine, inspired, and like, man, what did you do to turn it all around? Right? And he goes, when I got here, we were spending this much, but making this much.
Yeah.
And he goes, I switched those two.
Changes like, a lot.
Man, it's the easiest like financial lesson I ever heard in my life. Quit spending more than you're making. You're not going to make it.
I did that with my sales when I started selling for this company. I was thousands of dollars a month, and I was getting nowhere.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend money. Consistency. Consistency will get you seen. It will get you shared, spread, friends, everybody.
Yeah.
But the more money you spend, it doesn't matter. Yes, you have to spend money to make money, but don't waste it.
Yeah.
Because when you waste it, it comes out of
you gotta have
your
a plan.
pocket.
You got to have a clear plan on what you're doing. So what was the first piece of equipment that you got shed hauling? How, like, once you went from that building that shed for your neighbor, like, where'd it go from there? What did you invest in?
I went through about 5 trucks in the process in a 3-year period. We just kept upgrading trucks, finding the right ones that would work. I was using camper trailers, putting little aluminum factory rollers on them. I kept getting bigger and bigger, and then finally when it was time to haul for a company, when Sheds Direct came around, I had a local Amish guy help me out. We went and got my 3/4 ton and my first Pine Hill and my Mule 3. It was like Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Christmas. I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah.
But we got it, and it was like a little kid in a candy store. Little buttons to push. It was amazing. I wish I still had that Pine Hill.
Yeah.
But if I did have the Pine Hill, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Still be hauling.
I would still be hauling. I still want to haul. I want to find time to haul. I want my wife to take this over once I get it established, so that way I can go haul.
That's your passion. That's
it
what
is.
you enjoy.
I love it. I won't change it for anything.
So if somebody said, why do you like shed hauling? What would your number one reason be?
I've seen more of this state in the last 4 years than I have in 44 years.
So you're a native here?
Yes.
You grew up here. We're
born and raised.
We're like the city name is
we're
actually
in Teconcha.
Teconcha. That's the way I said it. When my wife said I was saying it wrong, and like usual, she was right.
It was Teconcha. It's 25 miles north of Indiana on I-69. That's how I tell everybody, because they're like, "What's Teconcha?"
Yeah. Well, I thought you were right here in the middle of nowhere,
that
man.
blinky light at the 4-way, that's the only light you're going to see in this town.
I mean, it's fairly rural, but you got 5G here. I was excited about that when we pulled in.
They just did that about 5 weeks ago. The tower's right over there.
Nice. Yeah, well, we had service, so it was great. So, yeah, you're a native from here. So it let you travel. It let you go into other areas, see more areas, meet more people.
So many. And, I mean, you get your rude customers, but 90% of them are the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
You just can't show up with an attitude because they're going to pick up on it. If you show up with a smile and you greet them, they greet you back, and it's the best feeling ever. You're not I mean, they're impressed. You've got cool toys. They're impressed. They love it.
Hello, shed builder. With each new year, builders are searching for ways to increase efficiency and safety. Simply put, the Joey Pivot Lift is an investment into your building crew and your bottom dollar. Manufacturers are able to save hours and dollars by making painting, decking, and roofing a safer and quicker process. The Joey Pivot Lift turns 360 degrees inside of a 50-inch radius and lasts an average 8-hour workday before needing charged. It has a minimum platform height of 61.5 inches, allowing you to reach into areas with ease versus the traditionally used 6-foot ladder. No tripping or falling hazards exist, and no need to climb down and restock. For roofers, simply load your metal on the lift prior to getting started and throw your roofing screws into the built-in tool tray. Pricing is just $8,295 for the 60 series, $9,685 for the 70 series, and $10,675 for the roofing model. For exact pricing that includes tax and delivery to your door, contact the Shed Geek at info@shedgeek.com or dial 618-309-3648. We're raising building standards with Joey Pivot Lift.
So, do you have like a favorite memory of shed hauling that really sticks out?
Which one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Favorite or worst?
A favorite. We'll get to worst in a minute.
Okay.
Favorite. Let's do the good first.
What's the good?
It's like the bad is so much easier.
Oh yeah, the bad list outweighs the good, but that's why I'm not shed hauling also. But I didn't start with the right equipment, and I wanted bigger equipment. So every time I got bigger, everything else started breaking, and I was trying to get ahead of myself.
I always say like the shed haulers are the last people to touch the building and to reach the customer.
Shed haulers bash. 2021, that was my favorite memory of shed hauling since I started.
Oh man, we got to get into that.
That is the only one I went to. I wish I would have went to more. I'm going to try to make it to this one in Tennessee. Or no. That's the Builder
North
Expo.
Carolina, South Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
Yeah, that's the Builder Expo in Tennessee.
Yeah. So you were there. I was there. This was in Pennsylvania.
It was crazy.
It was really cool. I didn't get a chance to meet you there, but it's where I first learned of the notorious Phil music. And
two 10x16s is where it all started.
Tell me about the two 10x16s. Let's go down that avenue.
Right after I got my truck and my Pine Hill and my mule, local Amish guy, he builds his buildings very light. It's just lumber and tin. There's no OSBs, there's no insulations, nothing. Well, I put two 10x16s on my 29-foot Pine Hill, and somebody had started a fuss over it. I was at work. I knew nothing about this. I get home, and I have messages, I have comments, I have everything like crazy, and it went on. It went on and on and on. And this guy was just all over me about ruining my equipment, hauling these buildings. And yet I had all these shed haulers I've never met in my life sticking up for me. That felt awesome.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know these people, but they're all on my side. What did I do right?
So what's the criticism behind, like, without, we don't want to throw that guy under the bus in any way, but what's the criticism behind two 10x16s on a 29-footer?
It's just funny now.
Yeah.
But he just made a fuss that I was tearing up my equipment.
Yeah.
And nobody's seen it, inappropriate what I was doing.
And the haulers are awesome. If you watch their like Facebook page, I mean, I've often said they lead the industry, and the rest of everybody else is they're pulling everybody with them. They really have this really unique way of coming together, and we saw that specifically at the bash that you're talking about. I admire that because I'm not a shed hauler. I drove trucks in the military, so I drove semis. But whenever I got out, I'm surprised that it's not the type of job I would have went looking for.
Yeah.
I ended up having a transportation job, but it wasn't in driving semis. So enjoyed it, loved it, but I don't take claim to be that. But what I do like about them that I do appreciate, that I like, is they're a get it done kind of person. It doesn't really matter what the job is. They just get it done.
If you show up 3 hours from home with the shed, you don't want to take it home, so you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I have so much respect for shed haulers after hauling sheds.
When I was in Pennsylvania, I remember them jumping in and like all working together. No one desired the credit. Everybody just pitched in. It was kind of amazing to watch it work. Yeah, you get some bickering from time to time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to happen. And with that group of guys, it's going to happen. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
the way it is. But generally speaking, they have a really good way of just coming together. At the 2021 Bash in Pennsylvania, you had put together, so you're kind of a handy guy.
Yeah.
So you can explain it a little bit. You had built the logo, basically.
I didn't build the logo. I ordered
Well,
the logo.
yeah. I mean, you had built like
I built the frame for it.
Okay.
With the mirror background.
Okay. And then did you actually attach the two, or
Yeah,
how did that work?
I built the frame out of 2x4s, and I don't remember what I used for the backing, but I wanted it to be super solid.
Okay.
I didn't want this thing doing anything but being solid. That was my biggest fear, taking it all the way to Pennsylvania. And then I had bought a bunch of little sticky mirrors, put them on the back, and then we attached that right to the front of it.
Now, who made the steel logo?
I know the name. I'll have to look it up. I found them on Facebook.
That's okay.
It was just an ad that popped up, and it popped in my head.
Yeah.
The Bash.
Yeah.
And
So you put it on this
plaque.
plaque. You bring it to
I
Pennsylvania.
brought it to the Bash thinking, okay, that I'm going to throw it in there for the auction and see what happens. And once they started rattling numbers, my blood pressure was going up. My goosebumps were kicking in. Couldn't get the grin off my face for an hour.
Dude, I was in shock. Like, so Brandon Suarez was
Yep.
up there doing the
He did
cattle
an amazing
rattle.
job.
Yeah,
He was going at it.
he's just able to bring the crowd in on
Yep.
stuff like that. And I know there's a lot of other guys in the shed industry that sort of do those things, so no disrespect to them, but he's on stage, he's doing a really cool job, he's working the crowd, everybody's kind of getting into it, and it just took on this new life of its own that you kind of had to be there to see.
Right.
But
I'm glad I was there.
what probably should have went for what? Maybe
200, 300
Yeah, I was going
bucks.
to say $500 or something like that. Went for $9,500.
$9,500.
It's very,
That was crazy.
yeah, it was a cool
was-
moment, man.
The Bash was awesome. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I've never been that far from home for that long of a period. And with that many people, my anxiety was kicking in.
Yeah.
I was hiding in my truck half the time on the other side of the parking lot.
Yeah.
It was so new to me.
Yeah.
It's like I've never been around this many people in my life. Walmart's pushing it. But every one of them I met, nice.
Yeah.
There
Awesome
wasn't
people.
one person that was rude up there.
Awesome people. I remember doing a live while I was there. It's a great experience. It's sort of a commercial for those of you thinking about going to any of these shed hauling events that are
Do
around
it.
the country, or the Bash whenever they have it. I think it's like every 18 months. You won't regret going there, seeing
No.
that the train of lights, that parade that they do that's like 4
Being
miles
in that
long or
parade,
something.
somebody took my video,
Yeah.
and I felt like this is where I want to be.
Yeah, it's a cool moment, man. It's
I
a really
was
cool thing.
embarrassed to take my equipment up there because it was rusty.
When we talk about shit,
But
yeah.
it's Michigan.
Hey, man.
I mean, it works.
Everything here is rusty. I was telling
Right.
Deanna, I'm like, gosh, we do not want to buy a car from
No.
Michigan.
No.
God love them. We just don't want to do it.
Anywhere northeast of Michigan.
But
don't
dude, the
buy.
beauty up here certainly
It's amazing. It's
says
amazing.
a lot for being in Michigan. Love it. Yeah, obviously the event, awesome thing. So you move on to that. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Big ups to any of the shed haulers, but any of the people that's organizing things.
Yes.
Caleb down in Texas, Travis out in Oklahoma, Cliff down in what they do down in southern Indiana.
All the
Montezuma, you know what I mean? Like, and then the hauler event. And I watched you guys get together. We were up here in Michigan. We were up in Cadillac, and we put out sort of like a little call for like, hey, anybody want to show up and have dinner? This is like, 5-6 days ago.
If
Like,
you weren't 2 hours, I was going to jump all
man,
over it.
I was about to say you should have came up, but it's really
was
cool sitting
gonna.
there listening to them talk about stories, share things with each other
Right.
about, stories, like good stories about the DOT and about being pulled over, things like that.
Yep.
But in general, just the camaraderie that exists. I think that builds community, and I think that's what we're meant to do. Is
I got 5 different haulers that come in and out of my lot every day. It's a new story. I love it.
Yeah. Looking to grow your shed business this year? Say goodbye to the struggle of day-to-day management. Shed Suite has you covered. With Shed Suite, you'll get access to a full e-commerce suite for your shed business. That includes customizable dealer websites, real-time inventory management, streamlined quote and order flow, and robust analytics and reporting. What's more, Shed Suite was designed specifically for shed manufacturers and dealers by experienced shed builders just like you. With low-cost merchant accounts and integrated payments, Shed Suite makes selling sheds a total breeze. Ready to get started? Our team is excited to help you grow your shed business through 2023 and beyond. If you're looking to scale up and automate your shed business, book a demo now at shedsuite.com. So tell me, we never got to the bad. We'll keep it PG, but if we can. But
Never been arrested.
Well, that's good.
Never been arrested. I've only had 2 guns pulled on me in 3 years. I've only had to pull mine once. There's very scary situations out there.
There is, yeah.
Shed hauling is not all cherries and roses. There's the bad side. But, I mean, it's only bad if you escalate the situation.
Yeah.
I found that if I stay calm, they usually stay pretty calm.
Yeah.
If I act like, a jerk, hey, I'm taking your building whether you like it or not, they tend to get an attitude.
And that's probably not if you're there representing not just the building.
Your company.
But also even an RTO company,
Right.
because you're there to, take something that's either been voluntarily or involuntarily surrendered.
Right.
So if it's involuntarily surrendered, I would imagine attitude, like you said, goes a long way. You
It
get
does.
more flies with honey than vinegar, right?
I mean, I've went to downtown Detroit, and just driving through that town will give you anxiety, high blood pressure, everything you can think of. And especially doing it with a 40-foot trailer and a couple buildings.
Yeah.
So by the time you get ready to grab that repo on your way home, you're ready to just, give up on shed hauling and life and everything. You show up to their house, they get a little attitude, you give that attitude back, things escalate very quickly.
Yeah.
If you go in there and you force yourself to smile, pull over, go to the park for 5 minutes, step out of your truck, get away from the truck. You've
Get out
been
of
in
your
it
head.
for 8
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Get out of the truck. Walk away, go look at the grass or something. Then go repo the building. It makes life so easy. But yeah, the worst part of my shed hauling would be the crackheads behind the storage units.
So you're going to get like a lot of homeless. I bet a lot of people deal with that. We've seen that on
Well, they weren't homeless. They actually lived behind the storage units, but the only way to get to their property was an easement. Well, the place that owned the easement, there's a shed sitting on it, and they didn't want it blocking the driveway no more. They called me to come move it. I grabbed the shed. It's on my trailer. Little kid in a mini bike or a little moped pulls up, stops right in front of me. What's this guy want? I mean, he's kind of young. All of a sudden, here comes a Dodge Charger. Here comes a big pickup truck. I'm in. I'm stuck. I'm either storage units behind me or road in front of me. The only thing that I could think of was Blackman Township Police was like 3 blocks away. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. It was in downtown Jackson. Well, then we had 5 cops show up all of a sudden. And I'm like, what is going on? I had no clue. This lady called me to move this shed. 5 cops are here. What's going on? All of a sudden, 7 more just converging. They come up behind me from behind the storage units, and I didn't know it. Well, I wasn't allowed to move the building because it was their building, even though it's on somebody else's property. So we went through a whole mess, and then Everything settled down, calmed down. The lady calls me back 3 months later, says, we have paperwork. Let's move the building. I said, okay, where are we going? She said, we're just going back to their property, and we're going to drop it. Okay. Show me the paperwork. She showed me a paper from her lawyer. Not the court papers, just a printout from her lawyer. I didn't think much of it. We get the shed. We get back to their property. Here comes 2 guys coming down the driveway with guns in their hands. The people I'm moving it for, he pulls his gun. Says, try it. I dare you. Great, here we go. So we stopped everything. I went back to the truck. I had another 6-foot-tall, 300-pound dude with me. And I got both of my guns out of the glove box, and I said, let's just sit here behind the truck. I didn't want to use them. I set them down in the seat. I'm sitting here just like this, watching the whole thing go down. And then all of a sudden, here we are with 17 cops. Brawl. We ended up leaving the building there. 3 days later, I get a Facebook message from the people that we put the building back there from. Apparently, he's going to find me, my family, everybody. I didn't think much of it. I really don't. It's been 2 years and everything's over with. But that is the worst shed move I've ever done.
And I say everybody's got a shed story, but I don't think sometimes people realize the danger possibilities that do exist and so let me ask you this, to better the shed industry, hearing a story like that, what is a way to help avoid that? Do you think is this this situation an example of a lack of education, or would that have not mattered in this situation?
This is a lack of the owner and the owner not conversing before all this went down. I was just stuck in the middle.
Yeah. So communication failure.
Communication failure between the owner and owner. And now when she asked me to move it, I said, it's yours. She said, yes, it's going to this lady's house. She's going to use it for her storage. She has a daycare. No big deal. We left it there. Cops told us to leave it. Next time we move it, everything went crazy.
I've heard stories like this before, or you see them sometimes on some of the pages or people's private pages where they're talking about it, and it's like we're making sort of light of it here, but the reality is it's a very serious situation.
It is.
It can be a dangerous situation, and for me, the first place my mind goes to is like how can we avoid those situations more?
You can't. Going down the road with a 16-foot wide building, I've had a gun pulled on me. Just because I wouldn't go in the ditch and let him around, he pulls it up in his windshield. And what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And he ended up going around. I don't know what his problem was. He was probably just having a crappy day.
Yeah.
But shed hauling, my biggest thing was I want to go home. I have a wife. I have a kid. I want to go home. Yeah. I'm here to work. I want to go home.
Well, and what you're talking about is not even the actual dangers of getting, pinched between a building or there's so many other things that can go wrong.
Well, that situation was out of my control. There was nothing I could do about it. When it comes to the trailers and mules and sheds hurting you, that's a lack of either not knowing your equipment or moving too quickly.
Yep.
Patience is key. There's been multiple times. The scariest moment was not the guns. That was the worst moment. The scariest one was when both of my cylinders broke, and that 6-foot-tall dude that was with me was standing under my gooseneck when my cylinders folded, and the trailer was already buried in 3 foot of mud. We were waiting for a tow truck to get this container off my trailer, and I was playing with it, and when them cylinders bent, he was right underneath the motor and battery box, but he was already hunched over. If he wouldn't have been hunched over, he'd have been about 6 inches shorter. He had literally just bent down to get a board, and that's the only thing that saved him.
Come down fast, huh?
It came down so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
That's the scary part of it, and it's
your equipment is more dangerous than you are, but the person operating it has to know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and even, mechanical failure beyond what you could foresee.
Yep.
There's just a natural, danger to it that could just be failure. At iFab LLC, our passion is welding, fabricating, and design. That's why in 2015, we began to commercially market our product to the shed, portable building, and mini barn industry. Our product is primarily used to build trusses. Our truss saw system cuts boards in one motion, and our truss press system installs and presses the gusset plates to a finished truss. We custom fabricate jigs that assure perfectly symmetrical truss setup without error. We also have other products designed to help your shed builder increase quality, efficiency, and save money. Our precision door tape will build your custom doors square every time and easily adjust to build any door. For products like these or other custom fabrication services for your barn shop, visit ifabllc.com or call 563-422-7496 or simply email us at ifabllc@gmail.com. Let's shift gears. You went from shed hauling to now the proud owner of Phil's Storage Solutions, or was it always Phil's Storage Solutions, even hauling?
No. When I was hauling, yes. It all started with Big Daddy dog houses.
Okay.
Not Big Daddy's dog house. It was Big Daddy dog houses because they were huge. I mean, they're like 4 foot by 4 foot by 3.5 foot tall plus the peak. Before that, it was H&M Lawnmower Sales and Service. Buddy of mine was working with me. And then it went to Custom Creations. I was building furniture. I was nonstop furniture before any shed. It was just furniture. And I was killing it. I was loving it. I had a custom order for a kitchen table with an engraved dinner prayer. She come back 3 days after it was finished and says, I can't pay for it. I went outside. I threw it in the burn pit like a jerk. And I was just, at that point, it was a $600 table. And she didn't want to pay for it. But it had their names in it, so I couldn't resell it. So I just went and threw it away. And that ended Custom Creations, and then I started doing... I'm sorry, I did that all backwards. It was H&M, Custom Creations, Big Daddy Dog Houses, then Phil's Storage Solutions.
Okay. So that was the name of your hauling company, though.
Yeah.
Phil's
Storage Solutions was the name of my company doing the furniture.
But since then, you've went into sales. I mean, you've gotten out of hauling as of right now completely. So tell me about the transition for haulers that have, decided to either go like sort of a vertical integration by selling and hauling.
No one should be able to sell a shed without delivering sheds.
Or without at least going.
Or at least do some ride-alongs.
Yeah.
Go on, 2 or 3 days. Just go.
How has that helped you?
It has helped me amazingly because I know what the customers are talking about. When they say, how level does my yard need to be? I can look out here and say, does it look like this? And they're like, yes or no. If it's worse, then I know what I need to sell them to have a level, sturdy building. If they say, it's similar to this or flatter, I know what they need. If they have questions, I know what they need. If they talk about their driveways and their embankments, houses, garages, I can literally go in there and look and say, yeah, they can do this or they can't do this.
Do you do like site checks or do you just go off of?
I go off Google Maps.
Yeah.
Because I have the experience of hauling.
Yeah.
So I know what their yard looks like when they tell me their address. I look at the map and then they explain it to me and I have a visual. I've been through fences. I've been over fences. I've taken down fences. I have never used a crane. I wanted to always do a crane delivery. Never got to. But, I know just from them describing it, I know the layout. Yeah. And I have not had a bad delivery come back yet.
What's been the biggest surprise as a shed seller that you didn't expect? Like, has it been easier? Has it been more difficult?
Oh, selling sheds is easy. I have a background in sales.
That helps.
Yeah,
sure.
17 years old selling $2,000 vacuum cleaners, and it just from there. I've sold furniture, dog houses,
Yeah,
sheds. I can market the crap out of anything.
You felt like it's a pretty easy transition?
Yeah, this is very nice. After 44 years of manual labor, it's nice to sit behind the desk. The only problem is I have severe ADHD and I can't sit behind the desk.
You prefer to be working.
I love it. I mean, this yard had 12-foot bushes in it when I came here. The property's been empty for 50 years.
You got it looking nice.
I have spent the last 6 months doing every little bit I can with very little of what I have.
Yeah.
And every step is progress.
You kind of answered this already, but which do you prefer, selling or hauling?
Both.
Yeah?
I mean, if I could sell it and haul what I sell, I'd be all for it.
You think it makes a difference if you can do like next day delivery or something like that?
If I'm out delivering and a customer shows up to buy a $50,000 building, I lose out on a big sale and nice commission. So that's where I'm at. I can't. If I leave here, I could lose income. If I don't deliver them, I could lose income. There's a lot of people come and say, hey, can I get this like yesterday?
Yeah.
Let me make a couple phone calls. I doubt it. It would be nice to say, I will load it up after work and be at your house.
Yeah.
They would love it. But you got to have some off time.
Yeah.
You can't go to work in the dark, come home in the dark, and be happy about it.
Pretty much a standard delivery, what you see a lot of times in most places, 5 to 10 business days, that kind of thing. New built, building or something that, custom build, it's going to take a little bit longer. So you talked about maybe trying to come down to the Carolinas for the next bash. What do you hope to see in the shed industry in general, or shed hauling or shed selling side, which is kind of what you...
I'm trying to really get into the sales part of it. So I've never been like computer literate. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll play on my phone all day.
Yeah. It's a difference though, right?
But to actually go in and do work on a computer, I get lost easy.
Sure.
My ADHD, it will take me in so many directions with 50 tabs and nobody's behind the wheel.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many good things. So there's sheds for sale, Shed Hub. There's a lot of shed selling places, and I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I get 50 plus messages a day on Marketplace. Most of them say, is this available? But then there's a lot of legit ones. And by answering those, I forget to go in here and finish the quote. By remembering the quote, I forget to send an email, and it's just so.
Well, you're getting drug into the world of things like
fast,
websites and SEO and online social presence, and then lead times and lead forms and click funnels, and you just keep going and going and going. I started. I don't know, like if I told you this, but we recently launched like a marketing company, and I laugh at myself because I go, say those words out loud again and look at yourself in the mirror and say you own a marketing company. The reality is I didn't own a computer until I was well into my 30s. I did blue collar, backbreaking manual labor most of my life, and I always kind of thought, it's not something I'm interested in, and I didn't adapt to naturally. And whenever I started selling sheds, I wanted to be. I guess I just kind of feel I might have hit it at the right time, right place. God was really doing a work in my life in general, anyway. And as he began to do that, I began to crave, like being the best me that I could be in all areas. And that didn't mean just learning about my competition so that I could, try and beat them. It was more competing with myself, like measuring up against myself, looking myself in the mirror and saying, hey, I want to be better because that guy's putting his all effort into that. And my goal is not to beat him. It's to be better for myself and just keep trying to break through new glass ceilings and find ways that I can be better. And all of a sudden, at some point, I began to embrace this thing that had been such a challenge or difficult thing for me. And I think a lot of people are in that space. You might be. This is intimidating. There's all this information. I never thought of myself as being someone who adapted to it quickly or was smart. Like certain things, and you could put in my hand tools and stuff, and I got it. I feel good about it.
Yep.
But this is not my, where I felt like I naturally fit. The more, man, that I just kind of embraced it, and that's what you're doing right now.
Embrace the suck. That's all you can
that's
do.
right. Yeah, just embrace it and say, hey, I'm going to dig my heels in. I'm going to learn about it.
Tell yourself this does not suck.
Yeah.
You want this.
Yeah.
And I found in the last 6 months that was a big game changer.
Absolutely.
If you're on social media, don't follow negative. Follow positive. You start following positive, you see a lot of positive, it makes you feel better. I'm up at 3:30 every morning, and I'm ready to leave the house by 5, but I kind of stick it out and not open the sales lot until 7 or 8. But
man, what you put in is what's coming out.
Right.
You ever heard you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut?
Yeah.
It's, you want to hang around, successful people so you can learn,
shed
how to be
haulers,
successful.
shed sales, all those people I want to hang around.
Yeah.
I mean, anything to do with the shed industry, because that is by far the nicest group of people.
Because community builds value.
Yes.
It doesn't tear value down. There's
Correct.
I don't know, I've probably beaten a dead horse here, but I don't really see a lot of secrets or trade secrets. We all got things that give us a competitive advantage in what we're doing. But generally speaking, I learn more through collaboration than I do through, being competitive. So, competition's a good thing. It makes you sharper. It makes you better.
Is.
But we're trying to build a industry that can create, take more market. I mean, I've often said the self-storage places, eating our lunch in terms of storage, because we're a storage company. People want to go down here and rent a storage unit because, they might not know the alternative that you can get a shed delivered right there in your backyard,
right?
And on a rent to own capacity where you can actually invest in ownership of this thing versus just rent all the time.
Pay rent and not have anything
Never
in
have
return
anything
but
for
storage.
it. Yeah.
I mean, at least this way you have something you can call yours. You can sell it at the end if you're done with it.
Well, you're sort of learning, I guess, that right now. So you're embracing maybe not the difficulty of sales, but the nuance of sales and learning about the different things that you need to help be successful.
And you learn a lot about people.
Who's some people that you'd give a shout out to that's really helped you along the way in the shed industry?
Number one, Sam Byler.
Wait a minute. I need let's see. I think that's my wah, wah, wah. I don't have my headphones on. I'm just kidding. There you go, Sam. We love you, Sam.
Sam Byler, Abner Stoltzfus. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the one in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is so awesome. He helped me a lot. I was in a very, very crappy place hauling sheds, and that guy just stepped up.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody in the shed haulers group, I can't start with names. It's every one of them.
Yeah.
It's where it all started.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, let's build a shed, found the shed haulers group, and it has drugged me here to this point. I was a little kid, wishing I had a bigger truck. I got a bigger truck. I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
I wanted bigger. But then you look back as you were a little kid, you wanted all this. Now you have it, why be unhappy? Make it work, embrace the suck.
I think it's cool, man. Definitely big shout out to Sam and Abner, good dudes.
And every single other person that's ever messaged me, wished me a happy birthday, said hi, any of them, all of them. I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. How would a customer know what shed brand you sell? Of course, you and I work in the shed industry and can often spot a brand a mile away just by its colors, styles, and customizations. However, to most customers, all sheds are created equal, right? Wrong. You want the customer to know your shed brand. An Identigrow nameplate helps your customer with 5 key components every shed customer needs: identity, information, authenticity, advertising, and ownership. Identigrow, helping identify your shed brand for over 20 years. Dude, love what you do. I'm wishing you nothing but success.
And Jason.
Chasing. Well, this one's not even
Yeah, it's
This
not the
isn't-
new one. New
this
one's
is-
in the truck.
Well, this isn't Jason. This is Chasen.
Yeah, chasing.
So, yeah.
He's on the Shed Builder magazine now. It just came yesterday in the mail.
Yeah. He's, well, Jason's a good dude, man. He's,
I love Jason.
yeah.
Jason's funny.
Somebody else was talking about him today, and they was just bragging on him. I'll just send people these messages when people say stuff like that, because that's more community building. But honestly, man, this is just kind of goes back to what you guys do as shed haulers in terms of embracing each other. Appreciate that. Appreciate what you guys do. Letting me play along whenever I go to these different events, and always want to be able to talk to shed haulers. And
You're a big part of it, though. I mean,
dude, it's been fun. Honestly,
your face is everywhere, and that's what people see.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's-
you know, to God be the glory for that, man. Because
Right.
like there's been a time in my life where, yeah, I didn't enjoy what I did so much, and didn't enjoy who I was.
I've been in
so
this
much.
community for 8 years, and I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Within 6 months, I know almost everybody.
Well, dude, it's
I
just
love it.
it's a cool platform to be able to like do what I'm saying, build community and do good things, and that God would give me the opportunity to do that. It's important to make sure that he gets the credit for it, because it's
Right.
it's without, you know, with his blessing, you know, that I can walk through this door or stand up and get out of this chair today. So like I can't forget the opportunity, and I always try to take it in stride humbly. But I do mean that, and absolutely mean that from the
And
bottom
don't
of my
take
heart.
anything for granted.
Yeah, man. Like I always say, if he wants me out of it tomorrow, he'll create the door, the avenue for me to
Yep.
move. All I have to do is just be discern that, you know, and be sensitive to what I'm supposed to do. But as of right now, man, it's a cool thing that he's got me doing this, and I enjoy getting to meet you, so many people in this industry, people that I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life. Just some really, really cool experiences. And man, we get to travel. I get to take my beautiful wife around to
Right.
all these different places and meet these people, and that's a
That's
true
why shed haulers
blessing.
like their job, because they get
Yeah.
to travel. I mean,
Yeah.
you get to see a lot of cool stuff.
It's cool, man. Hey, listen, I appreciate what you're doing. I wish you nothing but luck. I've been trying to do something different at the end of every episode. I mean, sometimes we pray, sometimes just different things, but as we feel led. But here's what I've been doing consistently on this round of interviews in Michigan. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to do this too.
I'm not giving you any snow.
I don't. You know, we get enough, believe it or not. I only live about 2 hours north of Nashville, but we get enough snow, it seems like.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to ask you. I never give people a chance to turn the microphone around on me. Sometimes after doing 180 shows and 2.5 years in, it's easy to forget people's nerves or everything else. I mean, thank God for editing. There's so much we can do. But in all seriousness, I'm going to give you a chance to turn the tables on me, and I'll give you 1 or 2 questions, either personal life or professional life, shed related, whatever you want to call it. You get to interview me for 1 or 2 questions and ask whatever you want. Okay. Complete transparency. I'll answer, and we'll go from there.
What's the best piece of advice you could give me as for selling sheds?
Oh, for selling. Okay. So man, I love
Out of your experience, because you've talked to a lot of people.
Yeah, man. So first and foremost is for you to believe it's possible. If you can't get buy-in from someone to believe that it's possible to do things, you know, I remember asking a guy one time, what's a good month in sales? And he said 30,000. And I said, well, what's a superb month in sales? And he'd been selling for 50 years or 20 years. And he said 50,000. And I said, do you think anybody can do beyond 50,000, you know, in sales and sheds in a month? And he was like, nah, that's about the top of the rung, you know, top rung on the ladder. You know, that's about the best that most guys are doing. There might be some pockets here or there. And I said, you know, what if you could do 250,000? And he just thought I was just completely,
in a month?
Yeah, he thought I was insane. And he was like, no, there's no way you can do that. It's just not even realistic. And I know you're a new dog trying to teach an old dog new tricks, right? And he said, but that's just not realistic. And I said, well, you're going to have to convince me it's not possible, because I've done it. So now There's like this, so what you're trying to do by that is not be arrogant. You're trying to open up this thought that, wait a minute, I didn't realize that's possible. I didn't realize it even can be. So
Right.
what I find where most people get hung up on is they create ceilings for themselves that's not necessary, because you can go sell 500,000, who knows? But if you get stuck on what other people are telling you, this podcast wouldn't exist had I taken the advice of people who said it can't happen or it can't be done, right? So like, you're going to have to convince the guy doing it that it can't be done.
That's what held me back for many years.
Absolutely. Fear of failure kills more dreams than anything, because people are afraid that they're not going to make it.
Yep.
And once you start to embrace the difficulty of what it is, and then you start to overcome it, you create these little bits of like confidence in you that grow bigger with each day. So for me, the best piece of advice that I can give to somebody is one, believe it's possible, and then you can actually start to explore the avenues which make it. Doesn't mean it's easy, it means it's possible. Those are two different things.
Right.
People are like water. They take the path of least resistance, so they want easy. And unfortunately, that doesn't mean it's easy to do. It takes a lot of education, learning, reading, being willing to collaborate with others to experience that. So, and then number two, I want to add to that, because this is one thing I wish I would have done, is quit telling people that rent to own is expensive, even if it is, right? Like, because if you convince the customer right off the bat, and I don't work for any rent to own company, and I have my thoughts on rent to own that I'll just leave separate from this too, but quit saying it's expensive, because you're putting the idea in the customer's head
that they're going to pay double for the building.
And I'm just not a fan of immediately saying, hey, this is an expensive option, but it's your only option.
No.
Show them the value in the product and the service and what it is.
This is your budget option.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody, because they ask me, what do you have? And I say, well, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And they tell me what they're looking for. I say, okay, are you looking for fancy, or are you looking for fit your budget option?
Yeah. I had a guy who would go, whenever somebody would come up, he sold for us, the first thing he would ask them whenever they were, he would go out to greet them was like, what do you guys want, a nice building, or you just want any old thing? And like, it immediately is like, no one ever says, give me less quality. They say, give me less price.
Right.
So you just got to overcome the objectives of price. So not that I'm a coach or trying to be a coach or anything, but that's just my 2 cents that I would give somebody immediately.
It could be 6 o'clock at night. If somebody pulls in, I walk out the door and I say, morning.
Yeah.
It always puts a smile on their face.
Sure.
I don't care who you are.
Sure.
Now, if you get the grump, you know what you're in for. But that just sets the mood. If you go out there quietly, they don't want to deal with you.
They say sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. So if you're a grump whenever they come in, they're going to receive a grump, and a lot of them are going to match your energy and grumpiness. So if you're going to be happy, they're going to.
And that leads all the way down to the final shed hauler delivering the building. He might get treated like,
Yeah.
A lot has to do with the dealer. That's the first person they meet.
Well, I hope that's helpful. Any other questions?
That's very
I figure.
helpful. I have a few questions.
Yeah, go for it. Give me one more. More.
No, I mean about your last explanation.
Oh,
I want to make $250,000.
Yeah. Sure, man.
Do it.
Sure, you can. And believing it's possible is the first step. Absolutely.
I grew up dirt poor.
Hey,
I mean, we
I hear
literally
you.
popped cans for gas money. It was bad, and I never had much. Now my life is just.
Yeah.
This is nuts. It's going fast.
I can tell you a story about my mom and dad divorcing at 15 years old, and how we owed back taxes, and somebody bought them up, and we, I was working at 15 at a grocery store to give mom money so that we could keep our house. And I'm not doing that for a pity party, because trust me, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But it's just real life. But you know what, man? Honestly, guys like me and you have all the potential in the world to grow up like that, because you know what to overcome.
Right.
And you can see it out in front of you. And while I'm not afraid to be poor,
we know where we came from, and we know how
where you
not
came
to
from.
go back.
Yeah, man. The sky's yours. Think about the level of success you're having whenever you're selling, if you're selling $1 million a year, think about the success you're having without even half the opportunity to get there.
It's always easier to continue than it is to start over.
Yeah.
Never give up.
I'd tell you, man, just keep plugging away. Trust me. Like I follow you on Facebook, man, and I wish you lots of luck in everything you do. And if you ever got any questions, feel free to ask.
Is there anything you would do differently?
Like shed related?
Shed related.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Everything I did led me to where I am now. Don't get me wrong. So like there's that story, but was I immature in some things that I've done, the way I've handled some situations? Absolutely. The people crack me up who are like, nah, I wouldn't change anything. Of course I'd change some stuff. I wish there's things I wouldn't have said, things I wouldn't have done. I wish there's agreements I wouldn't have got into. I wish there's legal agreements I would have insisted on. Yeah, all of that. Like, you're never going to make everybody happy, dude. Like, you're just not. And if you can sleep at night and put transparency out as a way of doing things, and always try to be sensitive and discerning of the Holy Spirit, what it would tell you to do and how to be, and so things like that. I can't say that I always handled things the right way. I used to say I've got a laundry list of bad jobs, bad bosses, and bad decisions, and I got to own some of that. Some of that was on me. But if you're going to grow and be better, you're going to do it because you embrace those things,
right? And
you embrace the immaturity that you had, and then you're going to actually go to a new level.
Grow up from that point.
Yeah, you're going to grow up. So I would say, yeah, there's absolutely things I'd do different, but I've tried my best to make amends with some people. Some people are not interested. Now, I don't think I have a ton of regrets, but I'm saying there are some, and I've tried to make those right. And I would say on the other side of that, for those who have amends, you might have some waiting on you for eventually them to come forward too.
Yeah.
And I've had that. I've had people come back and say, 5 years ago, man, I was wrong here, and I'm sorry. And you're like, whoa, it blows your mind because you thought they just wrote you off.
Yeah.
So don't ever give up on, on stuff like that. But my best piece of advice, man, is find you a coach. Find you somebody who's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like come
Shed
behind.
Sales Professional Group and the Shed Haulers Group. Those have been my coaches since I started this.
That's cool, man.
So supportive.
Well, listen, I wish you just lots of luck and everything you're doing. Any way that I can help, let me know. I don't always feel led to pray, but if you don't care, man, I just kind of feel led to pray at this moment, and we'll end the show with that.
Okay.
That's cool. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to just sit here and fellowship, communicate, and sharing ideas and thoughts and plans and all of that, talking about building community. Just ask that you watch over Phil, his business, show him increase and all that he's doing, and areas to be able to improve personally and professionally in all areas of his business. Guide him, lead him, protect him in all that he does, and make all those decisions clearer whenever he has questions about those things. Thank you for our journey, our safe travels, meeting so many people in the industry. Continue to bless it and show us where we are to go, and just pray, God, that we're obedient to follow. In Jesus' name, amen. Man, I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for sitting in on this, and it's very cool.